If you're looking for a portable device that lets you stream in traditional landscape mode, as well as to sites like Instagram and Facebook in portrait mode, and with a wide range of input and output options for video and audio gear, the Yolobox Ultra should probably be on your radar. The Yolobox Ultra is the latest all-in-one portable streaming device from Yololive. It joins the Yolobox Mini, the Yolobox Pro, and the vertical video-focused InStream, combining features from all of these devices and adding a few new capabilities into the mix. Well, you may have noticed an includes paid promotion tag at the start of this video. And we added that here because Yololive did send us a Yolobox Ultra for this overview. But that said, they did not sponsor or pay us in any other way, and they've had no control over the content or opinions we're going to share in this video. So in this video, we'll cover the Yolobox Ultra in detail, starting with the physical device itself and all of its ports and connections. We'll then go over how to start up and configure a basic production template on the Ultra. And with that set, we'll then walk through the Ultra's interface, reviewing all the core functionality it provides. We'll then wrap up with some of our thoughts from working with the Ultra over the past few weeks, and talk a bit about the types of productions that are ideally suited for both the footprint and functionality available with the Ultra. We have a lot to cover, so let's get started. Internally, the Yolobox Ultra is powered by the new Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 CPU, which makes it about 2.5 times more powerful than the Yolobox Pro. It also comes with 8 GB of RAM and 128 GB of ROM. If you look at the physical specifications of the Ultra, you can see that the unit is really compact, probably about half the size of a sheet of paper, and just over an inch thick. It also weighs in at a bit under 2 pounds, and this makes the Ultra a very portable live streaming device. The Ultra itself is controlled through an 8-inch high-resolution touchscreen. The brightness and contrast levels of the screen have also been improved over previous generations of Yoloboxes, which should make it easier to use in most outdoor settings. The Ultra also comes with a built-in 75 watt-hour battery that can power the unit for up to 6 hours, and this should cover the typical times needed to set up, test, and stream most of your field-based productions without having to go looking for an outlet. So next, I'd like to go over the different ports and connections that are found on the Yolobox Ultra. So if we start on the left side, we have 4 HDMI input ports at the top. Now these inputs support a range of video resolutions that include 1080p 60 and 4K 30p. So when compared to the Yolobox Pro, the Ultra adds an additional input port and also support for 4K inputs, recording, and streaming. Now below the 4 HDMI inputs is an HDMI output port, and by default, this port will show a mirror of the Ultra's user interface. You can change this in the settings menu to show the program out feed instead, and that's the video that's being recorded or streamed. And now I just want to note here that this HDMI out will only support up to 1080p 60, so if you're streaming or recording in 4K, any video being sent to this output will be downsampled. Now, below this HDMI output port is an RJ45 Ethernet port. And this port will support network connections up to 1 gigabit per second, and can be configured to work with either DHCP or with a static IP assignment. And while the Yolobox Ultra does have built-in wireless networking, we always recommend using a wired network connection whenever one is available. Now below the RJ45 Ethernet port are 2 USB 3 Type A ports. And these can be used to connect media devices like microphones and webcams, or to connect SSD drives for recording or media storage. Now let's swing around over to the right side of the Ultra. The round button at the top is the power switch for the Ultra, and it requires a press and hold to activate. This makes it hard to accidentally power the unit on or off. Below that is an SD card slot, And this can store any media being used in your productions, but also be used as a place to record videos that you want to capture from your productions. The Ultra can support SD cards with up to 1 terabyte of storage, so keep that in mind. Now below the SD card slot is a SIM card tray. If you have an active 4G LTE SIM card with internet data, you can use it in the Ultra to stream your productions across a cellular network. Next down is a 1/4" 20 mounting point, and this will let you securely attach the Ultra to most tripods, adjustable arms, and even clamps. And it should be noted that this is the only mounting point on the Ultra. There isn't another one on the bottom for mounting it in a vertical orientation. And below this mounting point is a USB-C port. And in addition to supporting USB media devices, this port also supports 2 modes of video out. By default, when connecting to a USB-C monitor, it will mirror whatever is being sent out of the HDMI out port. But you can also go into settings and switch it to act as a virtual webcam. So this will let you use the Ultra to send a highly produced video feed to your remote conferencing application of choice. And below this port are 3 3.5mm audio jacks for analog line and microphone inputs and an analog headphone output. These can be used together with any USB audio devices that you may have attached. And finally, the bottom port on this side is a USB-C power connector. This port is used exclusively for powering the Ultra and provides no data or device connectivity. So now that you have a sense of the Yolobox Ultra hardware, let's take a look at how you would actually set up and use the device. So when you start the Ultra up, you'll see a screen giving you 3 options for which mode you want to work in. There's a live stream mode for streaming to a traditional video service like YouTube. There's a vertical live stream mode for streaming to services like Instagram. And finally, there's a monitor mode for switching and recording videos locally. Since each of these modes operates in a similar fashion, for this overview, we'll just use monitor mode to cover the basics. Now, when you first start a production, you should select the video resolution that you want to be working in. And Ultra has support for multiple video resolutions, including 4K 30p, which you can select using this drop-down here. So, with that set, you're ready to start configuring your session. So let's start by going over the Ultra's interface so you know how all the controls are laid out. Now, the upper left of the display will show your program out video. That's the signal that's being live streamed or recorded. And below that is the interface for adding and deleting media and other sources, and for configuring different screen layouts. And this is also where you switch between sources by touching the one you want live at any given point. Now, the right side of the display is where you'll set up and control all of the additional capabilities of the Ultra. And these capabilities are logically grouped together. You can access any group by touching its associated tab at the bottom of the display. So, from left to right, these tab groups are, you got overlays and graphics, audio, your scoreboard, instant replay, recording controls, auto switching, and then general settings. Now, the first step in configuring a session is to add some sources. If you plug in any HDMI sources, they should appear right away if they're powered on. I'll plug in 2 sources here. So you can also add any USB attached media devices. So I'll add a Rode NTG microphone as an external audio source. You can add other media sources by touching the Add Video Source box on the display here. This will open up a screen with buttons for the different types of media you can add. A really cool feature of the Ultra is its support for NDI sources. These are IP-based video feeds that are delivered across the network. I'll add one of these here. So now, I'll also add some media files on the installed SD card. I'll pick a video here. So now, I'll also add a slide deck in PDF format. With this selected, you should be able to step through the slides using these on-screen controls right there. So these examples should give you a good idea of how to bring in different sources that you'll want to use in your productions. Once you have all of your media sources added, you can combine them into different composited layouts. For this example, I'll add a split view layout and assign the two HDMI inputs to it. I'll also add the news layout and add the slide deck and the first HDMI source to it. We can also add some background to it for branding. You can switch to these composited sources just like any of the other inputs you've already added to this session. Most professional productions leverage various kinds of overlays, titles, lower thirds, and general graphics. The Ultra's Overlay Manager provides the interface for setting these elements up and activating them. So when you click on the Overlay tab, this section will appear on the right side of the screen. To add any graphic elements that you want to use, just touch the plus in the little red circle at the bottom here. You'll now see a display showing the different types of overlay graphics that are available. Some are just presets that you can configure, like lower thirds that have fixed layouts but let you edit the text and colors. Other options, like image overlays, let you load any graphics that you create externally and leverage image transparency. There are also dynamic elements like countdown timers, and web URL overlays that can be driven by static or dynamic web-based sources. The most important element of any video production is quality audio. Ultra has a built-in mixer to give you better control over the audio signals going into your productions. When you click the Audio tab, the mixer will appear above it. The first two sliders in the mixer will let you control the audio output level being streamed or recorded, and the audio level of the headphone feed you're using to monitor everything. And you should keep in mind that these control independent audio feeds, so turning up the level on the monitor will not increase the audio level going out on a stream. You should use the audio meters in the upper left-hand corner to adjust the program level, keeping it below the red bars at its highest level. There is a button next to the program slider labeled AFV. Audio follows video. When turned on, only the audio from the source being sent to program will be sent out. If you're not taking audio from each individual source, you'll probably want to turn this off. Now below the top two sliders will be individual sliders for every input you've added that carries audio. These will include HDMI feeds, USB attached devices, local video and IP sources. You should make sure that any audio sources you want to use are turned on and all the others are turned off. And since some video feeds can take longer to process than independently captured audio feeds, each input includes a slider that lets you delay that audio signal by up to 420 milliseconds. This can be really helpful when you're trying to dial in sync between audio and video from different sources. For those looking to stream sporting events, the Ultra includes a built-in scoreboard. To access it, just press the tab to the right of the Audio tab. There's a small gear at the top right that will let you select the type of scoreboard you're looking to use. After selecting that, you can configure the team names and colors for the event, turn it on using the scoreboard display switch, and finalize its size and position in the output window. You're then ready to update scores, game timers, and periods as needed. The next tab over is for instant replay. The Yolobox Ultra comes with a multi-camera instant replay built in. To use the replay system, you'll first need to select which sources you'd like to capture. It supports both HDMI and USB sources, as well as program out. With the sources selected, you can go into replay settings and set up the duration, playback speed, audio levels, and even intro and outro video bumpers and watermarks. With those set, you can switch replay on. Now, when something exciting happens that you want to capture, you can just tap on the replay button at the top middle of the screen. The replay button at the top of the screen is always available no matter what section of the control screen you're working in. The next tab over is for recording. The video recording section of the Yolobox Ultra includes several new capabilities not found on previous models. You can now record in up to 4K resolution with control over both the frame rate and the bit rate you capture. You also have the option of encoding your recorded video in H.265, a more efficient codec that provides higher image quality at a lower bit rate. If you choose to record some sources in 1080p or lower resolutions, the Yolobox Ultra will also support multiple ISO recordings, recordings of individual inputs in addition to the standard program out recording. These can include HDMI, USB, NDI, and SRT inputs. Having these recordings of isolated inputs gives you a lot of flexibility if you need to do any editing in post-production. The next tab over is for auto-switching sources. This section will let you configure the Ultra to automatically switch between different sources in a continuous loop. This function could be extremely useful pre-show or during intermissions, allowing you to loop between different preset videos, images, and cameras without having to actively control the system. The last tab here is for general settings. This is the place where you can set how you'd like to switch sources, how videos should play back, manage your storage devices, and set your default transitions between sources. This is also where you can configure several important video output settings. Now first, it lets you turn on an NDI output and choose either the program out or an individual input as the source. Second, in the video out settings, you can set the HDMI output to send either a mirror of the Ultra's interface or the program out. And this is also where you can switch the USB-C port into virtual webcam mode, a capability we mentioned before when going over the Ultra's hardware ports. There are several unique features in the Ultra's live streaming mode that I also want to cover here. So from the startup screen, let's select live streaming. The first new tab that we'll look at is for configuring streaming destinations. It has presets for YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, as well as a general option for RTMP, RTMPS. But in addition to the more standard streaming options available, Ultra also lets you set up an SRT stream here. Now, SRT is an acronym for Secure Reliable Transport. It was primarily designed to reliably transport video and audio across unreliable networks like the internet. And it does this by trading a bit of latency for higher reliability. And it has become one of the standard ways to send remote video feeds to a central studio. So, when you have your target destinations configured, you can begin streaming to them by touching the red Go Live button on the Program Out monitor window. Now the next tab over is for guest invites. The Ultra allows up to 5 guests to remotely join your production right from their browsers. You just need to enter the email addresses of each of the guests you'd like to have join, and they will be sent a unique link to connect them. When you're ready for them to connect, just click Allow Participants to Join, and they will each show up as inputs as soon as they click the link you sent. Finally, there's a Comments tab that will show you the 100 most recent comments from the platforms that you're streaming to. And you'll definitely want to encourage engagement by acknowledging people as they comment, because engagement is a key component of any successful channel. This section can be a great help with that. We've been working with the Yolobox Ultra over the past 2 months, and we have some insight into its strengths and limitations. The strongest points for the Ultra are that it's well built with a compact footprint. It has a powerful processor and is extremely portable with excellent battery life. It also has plenty of physical inputs and a solid set of core features. One of the most exciting to us is that it offers both NDI and SRT support, both in and out of the device, and it also has a built-in virtual webcam. Now, while not significant, there were a few limitations with the Ultra that we'd love to see addressed at some point. Probably the most significant is that there is no way to move through slides or images when they're being displayed in a multi-box layout. And using multi-box layouts when doing a presentation is pretty common, and this capability would really be welcomed. There's also no way to control a PTZ camera in the unit, or even to just recall presets. And having that ability would significantly increase the number of shots that could be available in a production. Finally, the auto-switching capability doesn't have an option to play a full video before switching, or to play through a series of images if multiple are assigned to an input. But as we mentioned before, YOLO Live updates the capabilities of their full Yolobox lineup on a fairly regular basis. So hopefully some of these will be covered in the future. At the time of this video, the Yolobox Ultra lists for $14.99 US, comparable in price to some mid-tier vMix desktop systems. And while these systems may be more capable and flexible than the Ultra, that comes at the expense of both portability and simplicity. So when you break it down, the Yolobox Ultra includes all of the core capabilities that most common video productions require, and adds in some fairly advanced features as well. It also comes in a form factor that fits in one hand, can run on battery for around 6 hours, and can be set up and operated by most people fairly easily. In all, we came away very impressed by both the build quality of the Ultra and the functionality that YOLO Live managed to bundle in it. We were also impressed by the frequency of feature updates that YOLO Live provides. There were several released during the production of this video. So, who is the Ultra for? Well, one target would be any solo producer looking for a portable, battery-powered system. You can easily attach a camera, mic, and the Ultra all to a single tripod for a go-anywhere style setup. You could even add additional satellite cameras if multiple angles are needed. Think events like outdoor weddings, graduations, or field-based sports. The Ultra could also work well in a podcast studio, with support for over 4 video and audio inputs, multi-input recording, and the ability to bring in remote guests. The Ultra could tick all of the boxes for most podcasters. And another target would be anyone looking to up their Zoom meeting presence or online presentation capabilities. The Ultra offers a significant upgrade in both content and quality over simple screen sharing. Finally, the Ultra is probably the easiest way to stream vertical video, and it's ideal for anyone focused on growing engagement on Instagram or TikTok. If the capability to portability ratio offered by the Yolobox Ultra and its ability to stream both landscape and vertical video are a good fit for the types of content you're looking to create, we definitely think it'd be worth your time to take a closer look.